Good morning, everyone. Today is November the 17th. My name is Anne Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. I've started on this framework here. We'll move to where we normally work for just a second. I did put this out on Twitter a few days ago, sometime last week actually, and I said, hey, this was an extreme reading. Do we get a meaningful fade ahead? Now, every time we get up into this area, we have a snapback reversion to the mean that pulls price in. This morning, we are seeing a fairly solid dip, and that's really coming in from news that we've got floating around. And yesterday, a post went out that said, hey, we had put call ratios that were extraordinarily bearish intraday, but I don't see them floating around in the chains. So I'll look at the chains in 2 seconds. But first, what we want to see is one, we have something that sort of predicted the fade. That's weekly highs minus weekly lows. We have the dollar that's spiking, but that's resistance. We've got the VIX running, but still only at 25. And yet we've got a fairly solid fade, right? We've got, 1.25%, almost 1.5% for the NQ. So this is a pretty steep fade into the support zones. And we are pulling right into our very interesting monthly levels, right? This is a monthly open. This is November's monthly open. And down here is the top of October for the high. And so we really are running pretty hard. Now, something else falling off a cliff is oil, which I find to be very interesting. I'm still digging into why that is right now. It could be a couple of different things, but that's what we are looking at. A pretty sharp fade with the release of the news. So now let's go to our flexible grid and see what we're looking at from a broad market perspective. All right, so here we are. We closed the day around 94. This morning we're going to come in, and from the weekly perspective, we're going to be sitting at old resistance, which could easily be new support, right? So buyers are going to try and come in at around the 389 to 390 area. If you get into this zone and you short it at the first pass, you might get caught in the crosshairs, okay? So you want to be a little bit careful. Could the chart fade more savagely after coming into this zone? Of course it could. And so we'll look at the next levels, but at the first pass, buyers are going to try and hold this area. We've had a lot more charts making new highs over the prior weeks and holding higher lows. So there's an undercurrent of strength that's building, and I think maybe that's got to do with seasonality. I'm not really sure, but let's take a look at the cues. Here's what we've got. We're coming into 281, so we're breaking November's open. We haven't done that yet in the SPY, but it's coming. This is very likely to fade into these zones. Buyers going to start coming in the short-term area. All right, so let's look at where 281 sits in the daily and weekly charts. And so it's right here. Again, old resistance, potentially new support. Buyers are going to try and come in at around this 281 area. If they bounce and then can't lift into maybe 284, we're going to see more price action to the south. Okay, so that's really what we're looking at. We've had a sideways formation here that completely collapsed, and in this kind of range, I don't know how far it's going to go. It could go all the way down here, right? All we know is when we take a look at our charts, pick 2 time frames, 4 hour, 30 minutes, 4 hour, 1 hour, whatever the slope of your moving averages are there on the tight action, that's the direction that you want to play. Here, it tells us it's negative, but look at the spike, right? This 30-minute spike came in at the news, and then it's absolutely collapsed. So use these big levels to get yourself involved. Look for old support that's been broken and say, you know what, I'm going to wait for that. Or look for old resistance and say, you know what, I'm going to go for that. Those are the areas that you need to work in. This is going to be very, very tough trading today in my mind, and we'll keep alert and watch what happens as the morning unfolds. All right? Good luck and stay frosty.